What's up, fight fans from all around the world? Welcome to the War Room. I am your fight goddess, Chris Baldwin, and I'm here with my boxing family, Melissa Smith. She is a women's boxing historian, and my boy, Eddie Goldman. We call him the Conscious of Combat Sports. You guys, we are talking this week's boxing, this weekend of boxing, because it was a firestorm. There was some controversy. And I want to give a big shout out to my boy, Adam Lopez, who fought Oscar Valdez on the top ranked card. And he took an L, but it was a valiant effort. Good work out there, young man. You keep doing the damn thing because you went 10 rounds and you did not get knocked out. But Melissa, you are going to, just bring us home with the Katie Taylor and Chantelle Cameron analysis, because Katie Taylor took an L. It's her first L in Dublin, Ireland. That was right in a big way. So let's hear about it.
Well, in a big way. And I'm going to, shout out to Eddie too, who wrote a great piece that's up on Patreon. So I hope he touts it, because it was really a terrific piece of writing and a terrific analysis. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is that Katie Taylor came into that ring after, just chills through everybody and tears as she, stood on taking it all in on her very long, very thoughtful ring walk, and got into the ring. And man, from the get, Cameron just brought it to her. Katie Taylor was on the back foot almost the entire fight, was on the ropes, was not ever able to really take command at the center of the ring, which are the features of a Katie Taylor fight. She had moments of flourishes where she was able to execute getting off the ropes, coming back into the center of the ring. A look at Chantelle Cameron's face at the end of the fight demonstrated that, man, Katie Taylor still has some pop in her punches. But at the end of the fight, despite one judge saying 95-95, boom, the other two went 96-94 for Cameron, which was the right score. Some people could have charitably seen it 96-94. It was arguably 97-93. It was certainly not 95-95. That judge needs some serious glasses. And I will also say kudos to our own New York's own Sparkle Lee, who did a fabulous job refereeing that fight, allowing them to really go at each other in the ring, and only coming in to break them up when it was obvious that they were not going to unclinch, and that the best thing to do was to pull them apart and let them fight. That man, Cameron, if there was ever any question about her as being an undisputed fighter and worthy of the title of undisputed, the poise she saw, the game that she was able to stick to, the adjustments that she was able to make over the course of that fight, left in no doubt that she is deserving of that title. And I know that she is going to be, really up on the numbers on the pound for pound, probably ending up somewhere in the top 3 for sure. She'll never top Clarissa Shields, but there's some real question, where Katie Taylor is going to end up and where Amanda Serrano is going to end up, given where things are. But Chantelle Cameron, this is the second undisputed fighter she defeated. That's huge. That is seriously huge. Great for women's boxing, and great for Irish boxing, because if there were incidents, actually the only one I know of is Conor Benn and his all bit of nonsense during at some point during the fight, or during the card, some like little personal beef going on because of the issues that he had earlier in the year with being found to have been doping. That aside, the fight went off, the security held, there was no nonsense from, the Hutch Kinahan stuff. So maybe this fight, not only as a women's boxing, star, if you will, or star in the firmament of women's boxing, that really demonstrates yet again that when you have the best fighting the best, and the willingness for the best to fight the best, you really have great opportunity for fights. Maybe Irish boxing will also have an opportunity to come back on this kind of scale. I will also add that unfortunately, we had really hoped to be reporting on Terry Harper's fight with Cecilia Brækhus. They went through the weigh-in, everything was perfect, and then the fight morning on Saturday morning, Cecilia Brækhus woke up with a fever, chills, sore throat, the whole Megillah, some kind of flu,
COVID.
and had to cancel.
Or maybe COVID.
Yeah, it could be COVID, but really sick and unable to move forward. It was devastating for her. It was Steffi Bull was her Terry Harper's trainer was interviewed shortly thereafter, finding out, getting the call, if you will. He was actually with Eddie Hearn when Cecilia Brækhus' team called and said, sorry, she can't fight. Terry Harper, apparently just burst into tears just from the emotion, because she's worked so hard for that. But she will be on a fight card next weekend, and in Manchester, so she will at least be able to go forward. But we are not able to report on that fight, unfortunately.
Oh, who's she gonna fight next weekend?
Habazin.
Who's really great. She fought Claressa Shields.
Yeah.
She fought Diana Prozic. She's fought Cecilia Brækhus. She's had some losses, but not very many. She's a credible champion. So it's a good fight. I mean, it's really short notice for Habazin, but she's willing to take it. Her last fight was in October, but feels that she's ready enough, and she didn't want to walk away from the opportunity.
Right.
And then you had Maisie Rose, got a win, split decision win, and that was good for her. She's now 3-0 in her 6th rounder. Her fight opened the night. But the big tale is Taylor was not prepared enough. And the question is it just that the nerves, the excitement, all of the drama surrounding the homecoming in Ireland, the switch out of opponents, all the other stuff that was going on was too much? Or is it that Katie Taylor is at her max and she cannot go up in weight like that, fighting that kind of a fighter? That there was no way for her ultimately to train for a fighter that was going to pressure her that way at 140 pounds versus at 135. Because let's face it, she's faced pressure fighters before. But Chantelle also brings serious skills. She had a beautiful uppercut that she was just executing all night long. Just as soon as Katie Taylor would come in, grab her, there was Chantelle with that uppercut. So she has a decent array of punches. She knows how to change things up. She had good combinations. She went to the body. She went to the head. But that having been said, Katie Taylor still had those flashes of speed. And, in the later rounds in particular, she was really going at Chantelle's face. And when you looked at her at the end of that fight, she was bruised. She was black and blue already. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it was some kind of cakewalk for her. Katie Taylor really did push and really did try. It's just she was outmuscled by a fighter that really pushed her off her game. And the things that Katie Taylor was best at, her footwork, her ability to fight in and out, were just gone.
Wow.
My view is that had there not been this gang war between the drug groups of Kinahan and Hutch, Katie Taylor obviously would have already fought several times in Dublin and the rest of Ireland, and wouldn't have needed at age 36 or almost 37 to move up and weight for such a big fight. She would have already been winding down her career, which is such a stellar career at this point. But because it was all delayed to have this Dublin debut and facing Cameron, she's already seriously declining. And that's one of the toughest things that fighters, particularly at the elite level, face, is that their skills are declining. And most of them hang around too long until it's too late and have very, very seriously bad endings. I mean, I gave in the article, I just gave 2 examples of Joe Louis getting knocked out of the ring by Rocky Marciano. Most people in boxing put Louis as either number 1 or number 2 in terms of all-time heavyweights. You can debate that, but that shows you his level. He had 25 straight defenses, and he kept on fighting too long. Bernard Hopkins, a guy who was in the Hall of Fame, an undisputed middleweight champion, a light heavyweight champion. I think it was the oldest champion in the sport of boxing, kept on fighting till he was like 51, and he gets knocked out of the ring by Joe Smith Jr., who is a good fighter, but not a great fighter.
I saw that
They
fight.
hang around. Yeah, they hang around
Yeah.
too long, and often it's driven by money, because what are they going to do after they leave boxing, particularly in Joe Louis's day, where the IRS hounded him and he had to take these demeaning jobs, being a greeter at casinos and all these things. Katie Taylor's not in that position, but she could go on and do almost anything that she'll want in boxing or the sporting world. She's the most popular athlete in any sport in the Republic of Ireland, and one of the most popular everywhere in the world. Everybody seems to like her. There's a lot of controversy about other fighters, and some people like this one, don't like that one. Not Katie Taylor. Everybody respects her. The build up to this fight with Cameron, yeah, they both said they were going to win and all that, but you didn't see the trash talk. They weren't throwing furniture at each other. They weren't pushing each other and all the WWE type nonsense and theatrics. They built this up in a proper, respectful way. But she said, yeah, now she wants the rematch. She's just going on pure ego. She wants a rematch at 140, and Eddie Hearn wants it in Dublin. It's very likely it's going to be a worse outcome for Katie Taylor, because now Chantelle Cameron knows she can dominate Katie Taylor. She didn't have that movement, and that, as Melissa said, and when that movement goes, there's a reason for that. She didn't know she couldn't get off the ropes. Her body was not responding. She knows what to do. She's an Olympic gold medalist. She was 22-0 going into this fight. She knows what to do, but that doesn't mean her body can do it in those specific situations. But what it does show, that women's boxing really is becoming, and I've said, Melissa, Chris, we've all said this for a while, is becoming the main attraction in the sport of boxing. Many or most of the top male fighters, you can only find them on the side of a milk carton, missing persons. You don't know where the hell they are. They're not fighting. Well, they're just they're fighting on Instagram, not in the ring. And the women, one after the other, are fighting these difficult fights. When Cameron beat McCaskill went down a weight, but she was undisputed at welterweight, and only, from what I read, had to vacate one of the belts because of all the sanctioning body nonsense. And you have undisputed champions, meaning they have the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO belts. There are 6 undisputed champions in women's boxing. Franchon Cruz the Zern at super middleweight, who's fighting Marshall. Claressa Shields at middleweight, who's having the rematch with Hannah Gabriels. Chantelle Cameron at 140, and Katie Taylor at lightweight. Alyssa Baumgartner, who's fighting very soon. And Amanda
She's
Serrano.
fighting on the 15th again, the 15th of July, finally getting the fight back on track with Christina Linardatu, who's the only woman who ever defeated her.
Right, and Serrano, who was going to be in this fight with Katie Taylor until she had an injury, she's undisputed at featherweight, but she's been fighting all the way up at lightweight. She's been fighting all over the place. So the top women in general are all fighting each other, and the top men, who knows
they're
what
all
they're
ducking
doing.
each other.
Not only that, but I got to tell you, you had the Haney Lomachenko fight this weekend. What a great opportunity for Top Rank to put a woman's bout on the damn card. Was there?
They're not doing that.
Zip.
No.
What the fuck?
They're not
what
doing
was that? That's another lost lead for them.
Right.
For Top Rank. Never mind for women, it's a lost lead for them.
Right. Eddie, do you agree? Wait, let me ask you, do you agree with Kieran Cunningham? Because I read his article too. He's thinking that Katie should just retire. Like right now.
No, I think there's still other fights that she can have, but she really has to wind her career down. She wants to do the rematch with Serrano, but I don't know if she's going to win that rematch, assuming the judging is fair. And
I don't know that Serrano wants it, but that's another story. Look, Taylor reportedly, Taylor did very well in this bout. She made the most money of her career fighting in this bout. I do not know what Chantelle Cameron made, but she did very well. And is she going to want to keep fighting? Probably. She's going to have to deal with the fact that Cameron's going to say, hey, I'm the champ now. I beat you. I want to fight you at lightweight. So she's going to have to deal with the politics of Cameron's asks. And so is Eddie Hearn. And
fight in the UK rather than Ireland.
UK,
right,
and not in Dublin. Fight back in my hometown, and I'll take your lightweight belts away from you. Damn, so there's some calculus there, and why wouldn't she?
She's not going to. I don't think Katie Taylor's not going to risk her lightweight belts.
She's not going to do that.
So, because for those who don't understand, Katie is undisputed at lightweight, but since she went up to 140 to fight Cameron and lost, her lightweight belts were not at stake. So she retained all those belts.
She's still undisputed.
But if they fight back at 135 and Cameron beats her there, bye-bye belts.
Bye-bye belts, and Cameron becomes the second woman to have achieved 2 weight classes behind Claressa Shields as undisputed. I mean, Claressa has done it now 3 times. She did it twice at middleweight and once at super middle, but it gives Chantelle that opportunity. So yeah, Taylor, where Taylor goes from here is an interesting question. And again, and I think Eddie, you made the point, Taylor knows what to do with a pressure fighter. She's faced it before, but her body just didn't do it enough. And she was lead-footed when she was in the center of the ring. She's usually up on her toes. She's not a bouncer, but she's usually up on her toes because she pivots really fast. And she moves around the ring, usually with beautiful footwork. But she was leaden. She was really on her flat-footed. And it's not as if she was really executing punches either when she was in that position, even in the center of the ring. So I think she really needs to take some time off to really rethink what's next. She shouldn't be fighting in the summer, or even if she's going to fight again, fight in November, December. Give yourself
6 months. Yep, she needs 6 months.
6 months, because she also got hit a lot. She wasn't badly battered. Cameron looked like she was in the fight. Taylor,
right.
Yes. Taylor got hit. She got beat, but
Cameron looked like she was scrapping. I saw her drinking her beer. Like she had knots all over her face.
She was a mess.
Right.
But meanwhile, she was a mess, but she was the one drinking the beer going,
right. Yeah, she was. That's right.
I beat you, bud.
That's right. So look, you guys want to just roll right into that Loma robbery? No, okay, it wasn't a robbery. I won't say it was a robbery, but I thought Lomachenko won that fight. And whether it was close or not, Haney, to me, when I looked at him, Loma was firing off stuff and he was just waiting on Loma to hit him. I didn't understand some of that tactics, but this is what happens, I guess.
Loma also has he's so lightning fast with his footwork, and you think he's going to be somewhere, and then he's on the other side of the ring.
And he was like launching like multiple punches, whereas I saw Haney, he'd do a double jab and go to the body. He was tearing that body up, though. He did get some good body shots, but I saw more Haney head doing this than Loma. I never saw Loma's head go back like that. I just saw Haney's head get snapped back a couple times.
No, and Loma still has it in terms of his his footwork and his boxing IQ and his ability to just, he's like, it's like he defies space-time with his body. He's
got great movement.
Guy, you know?
Right. He was like,
his movement's
crazy.
He does.
Exactly.
Yeah, he just like, and then like
he reminded me of Usyk a little bit. He reminded me of
Usyk, but faster.
But
yeah,
faster,
it's a similar style, you know.
Yeah.
Similar style, and I think Loma has that footwork. It's just magic. I don't know. He has some kind of magic dust in his feet that just makes him go different
he should have won that
and
fight.
Execute punches.
Corrupt
and
judging.
this is what infuriates fans so much, is that they pay money, some of them anyway, to watch this fight, and they watch one guy beat another, and the other guy gets his hand raised at the end. And Haney, there was a report, and this hasn't been confirmed elsewhere, but Paulie Malignaggi said that 2 days before this fight, Haney re-signed his deal with Top Rank. I don't think that's been announced yet. So
really?
that might account for the very biased judging that goes on. But week after week, people see this stuff. The week before it was Rolly Romero and Barroso in that absurd stoppage. Week after week, they see this stuff that would only make sense if it were in the WWE, and yet this is supposed to be a real sport with real rules and real governance. People just get sick of this stuff all the time, and it just kills boxing. If you compare the reaction to these two cards, that there were little differences in the scoring, and Cameron and Taylor, but virtually everybody who saw it understood that Cameron got the upset. She was the underdog in this fight, but that Cameron won the fight. But in Haney Lomachenko, people that booed their asses off. They very loudly booed the decision. And this was in Las Vegas with Haney an American and Lomachenko Ukrainian. And in the United States, they're booing the American because the decision was so hated and was so bad, and people were so envious about what the much older Lomachenko and really smaller guy had done in this fight, and that Haney has been built up as the next great thing. In this fight anyway, a lot of people felt that it exposed them, and they feel we're being sold a bill of goods again. More nonsense. And they'd say, the next time, am I going to pay money for this thing? Well, I just read the results afterwards and watch the highlights, online, and watch a video.
Well, yeah, and it's unfortunate because this is the kind of thing, boxing is hard enough to find in America anyway. There's no regular boxing the way we grew up with it, or even the way it was 10 years ago. So when there is a fight like this, and when people commit to spend that kind of money to watch it and to watch the card, they have high expectations, and rightfully so. So when, the judging becomes more the issue than the fight itself, you're in a bad place. And it consistently happens in certain jurisdictions, Las Vegas being one of them. And they really, the commission really needs to take a look at this and to call the judges on the carpet. I know Teddy Atlas was going nuts on social media for the last 2 days, calling for Moretti to be hauled in front of the Las Vegas commission because he scored round 10 for Haney. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how he scored round 10 for Haney. I swear,
but he did,
don't.
And Teddy Atlas is going nuts on social media, put him in front of the commission. Nuts. He must answer for how he scored that.
But the commission never does anything on those appeals. It's not like they overturn the verdict or whatever. That shit is still going to be
in a very, very, very rare while. But it won't happen in this one. That's for
right.
Sure.
It didn't happen in the Romero Barroso. Exactly. I mean, you could list. That's just in the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen because they're part of the problem. The whole system is part of the problem. Mm-hmm. They're not really independent. They're tied into the casinos. And who sells tickets, Romero or Barroso? Who sells tickets, Haney or Lomachenko? And they get a portion of those proceeds.
Plus, you've got the betting now on top of
Exactly.
that, right? So, who knows who had a big bet? We don't know. Not that I'm saying that somebody shock would try to fix a fight or affect how a round goes because
Right.
they bet on the rounds. Let's face it, they do. So,
But this in next week's fight and the week after and the week after, the same thing happens all the time. The house fighter gets the real benefit unless they get totally destroyed. Like Gary Cully, in the co-feature on the Cameron Taylor card, was the Irish guy fighting a Mexican fighter who had lost 5 of his last 10 fights. Cully was undefeated, built up Eddie Hearn as the next great lightweight. He should get a title shot, all this stuff. And he gets destroyed in the 3rd round, and he can't even stand up, and he's holding on, and the referee just let that fight go on and on and on because Cully was the big draw. The matchroom was really pushing for Ireland, and they could only stop it until it got way beyond dangerous. Anybody else, that fight would have been stopped much, much earlier in the round. The guy couldn't, when he was knocked down, he never recovered from that first knockdown, and he never really regained his footing. If a referee would have asked him to come forward, he wouldn't have been able to come forward steadily, and they would have stopped the fight right there, except for the politics of the whole situation.
Not only that, but the team, Cully's team threw in the towel, and the ref didn't even stop it then because he didn't see it. And the guy was, still getting pummeled. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
people are like, the towel.
It's a governance thing. And, all these big fights in Las Vegas, what's changing in Las Vegas? They got the NFL there now. I think they have the NHL. In a couple of years, they're probably going to get the Oakland A's there. So people are going to want to.
Wow. They're going to leave Oakland?
Oh, yeah. Well, they basically want to hold up the city of Oakland to have them finance a new stadium. And that's been really at an impasse for years. And so they have an option, I think, to buy some land in Vegas. It looks like they're going to move. And the Oakland A's basically got rid of all their good players. They're probably the worst team in baseball now after being a top-level playoff team just a couple of years ago because they just wanted to just, pare down their payroll because they plan to use the money to build themselves up in Vegas. So if you want to go to Vegas to watch sporting events, you're not going to have to deal with the sleaze of boxing. You're going to be able to deal with these mainstream sports, which have, supposedly anyway, less corruption and less bad governance than you see in boxing. And you may not need boxing there anymore. The casinos may not need it. They could be involved in sponsoring and doing deals with people where they go to the ball game, they stay at the hotel, they bet before the game, maybe bet during the game, maybe bet after the game. Of course, the whole thing's going to fall apart when we start seeing fixed NFL and fixed MLB games, which is, if that hasn't happened already, will likely happen soon. But boxing isn't just such a marginalized situation in Vegas. Look for things to change. And then you got Saudi Arabia throwing a lot of money, getting these big fights that a few years ago would have been in Vegas. Saudi Arabia trying to get the heavyweights, assuming they'll have a fight again, trying to get Fury and Usyk and Joshua and Wilder. And they may not get all those fights, but that's where the big money is these days.
Yeah.
Watch out.
It's a big mess.
Well, we have big fights coming up for women. June 3rd, Clarissa Shields fights Hannah Gabriel. Sarah Leigman, who's a German fighter, who's also managed by Dmitry Salita, is fighting, God, I can't remember her name. Cassis, I think her name is. American fighter. She's 7-4, but really exciting, kind of fun fighter. So at least there's a second women's bout on the card, but that's it. And then Alicia Baumgardner is going to come back and fight at home as well in Detroit. She won't be at the Caesars Arena, but she will be fighting at a venue in Detroit. I'm not sure what the rest of the card is going to look like, but that's exciting. So the thought of Detroit as a boxing town is kind of cool. I hope that works out.
That's right. Right
and,
on.
And built on two undisputed women fighter. All that.
Both badasses too. They are badasses for real.
Badasses.
Yep. For real.
There's a growing independent movie industry in Detroit.
Yeah.
And the Tigers, although they're still under 500, I think they're in second place in the American League Central. So certain sports revival going on in Detroit.
Well,
yeah, there's a lot of art going on there too. A lot of interesting underground music scene. Art.
Oh yeah, we love that. Well, we have, a big art scene here, and I just went to see the Jean-Michel Basquiat's exhibit here at the Grand. It was a beautiful, beautiful exhibit. It's I want to go back and see it a second time because it's that much. There's like 4 galleries. So it's beautiful. If you guys are in LA, check out the Grand. Jean-Michel. I just learned how to pronounce his name correctly.
And don't go to, if you're in LA, don't go to Dodgers games.
And we're not messing with the Dodgers.
No Dodgers.
F the Dodgers. You guys canceled the LA Drag Nuns, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, and we invited them to march with us for the Dyke March, and my organization did. So you're going to see them.
And you should sing a revision of Phil Forster's old song. Instead of "Let's keep the Dodgers in Brooklyn" from the 50s, let's bring the Dodgers back to Brooklyn. They never should have left many years ago. Bring them back.
You can have them now.
You can have them.
Well, yeah, but it'll be different ownership. Ownership. Right. These slugs that own it now. New York could have 3 major league teams.
Mm-hmm. But Magic Johnson is the owner. I'm just mad that he allowed that shit to happen. And the fact that their office manager is gay. I'm like, dude, for real? How do you let this shit happen? I don't know. But, that's Marco Rubio sending a letter to the Dodgers. Why do you care what we do in California, Rubio? Why? We don't care what you're doing in Florida. Well, we kind of do. But I don't want to do.
We're not going there anyway.
We're not going there. The NAACP has a travel advisory for Black folks. Do not go to Florida. Okay, stay out of Florida for good reason. They're Nazis.
Yep,
running the whole state, trying to take over. One party rule. Okay, but that's going to be for our political show.
Right.
Well, sports also. Maybe the Rays should move out of there too. Besides having a bad ballpark, it's just a very, very bad atmosphere to be in. And MLB, half the MLB teams have did spring training in Florida for decades. They should move the hell out of there.
I agree. Well, look. Folks, if you guys don't want to chop it up with anything else, we're going to call it a day and wrap this topic up. We are good to go. So, Melissa, tell the people what?
I just want to add, check out what's going with the Russian-led and financed IBA, where they started a purge of different national federations. And these federations better get off their booty and quit, like USA Boxing did, quit IBA and join World Boxing. And the IOC better stop messing around and officially throw IBA out. Say you're not just suspended, you're kicked out of the Olympic movement. They got to stop messing around with this outfit.
I agree with that, Eddie, wholeheartedly.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to cover that in the next War Room. But, all right, Melissa, tell the people where they can find you, baby.
They can find me at Girl Boxing Now, Twitter, Instagram. Girlboxing.org is my website. I will have some exciting news on I have an essay coming out in a new book called The Difference. It'll be out on June 12th. Next time we chop it up, I'll give you some more info on that. Real excited. And other than that, hoping everybody's good.
All right, cool. Eddie, tell the people where they can find you, brother.
Well, I have as Melissa so graciously mentioned earlier, have a new article up on my Patreon site, Cameron Ambushes Taylor in Dublin, that explains that and the context of it. and you could subscribe to that, patreon.com/Eddie Goldman. And that's also being reproduced in part on the Bloody Elbow site. So we're trying to build some interest in that for people to read good, honest, independent boxing writing instead of the pap and nonsense that's out there. My website's eddiegoldman.com. Still on Twitter at NHB News until a viable alternative comes along, which we really don't have, unfortunately, at this point. And those are the places you could pretty much find me. And again, in New York City.
Right on.
So nice. They named it twice.
That's right. Well,
it.
look, I wear a Yankee cap because I moved out to California from the East Coast, and I'm a Yankee fan. But I'm in La La Land here in Los Angeles. And look, you guys can find me on Instagram at Fight Goddess Fitness. And I'm on Twitter. Sadly, I'm still on Twitter at Angry Afro Radio, because I am that angry Black woman. Okay. And really about to get pissed off now. Tim Scott has announced his run for presidency. So that's for our political show, though. But you guys,
Yes.
Yeah, you guys, thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and hit that like button, follow us, subscribe to our channel. Make sure you hit the notification so you know the next time we drop a video. And that's all we got for you today, folks. Peace, love, and push-ups. Boom.